You're watching News Central now on News Central Television with me, Blessings Musugu. The top stories at this hour. President Tinubu reiterates Nigeria's dedication to achieving net zero carbon emissions by 2060. As Nigerians mark Armed Forces Remembrance Day, reps seek better incentives for servicemen and women. More bodies recovered in South Africa gold mine in as rescue operations for trapped illegal miners continue. We've got the details shortly. Now let's start by telling you that President Tinubu has reiterated Nigeria's dedication to achieving net zero carbon emissions by 2060, aligning with global climate objectives. Speaking at the Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week Summit, he emphasized the need for international cooperation and investment in sustainability. Nigeria's strategy focuses on three core pillars: energy transition, climate resilience, and sustainable development. The country aims to diversify energy sources, reduce fossil fuel dependency, and promote environmental sustainability and economic growth. To achieve this, Nigeria is developing infrastructure to promote the use of compressed natural gas and electric vehicles. The president also highlighted the importance of building resilience against the adverse effects of climate change, particularly for vulnerable African communities and economies. He emphasized the need for sustainable development that leaves no one behind.
The fight against climate change is not merely an environmental necessity, but a global economic opportunity to reshape the trajectory of our continent and the global energy landscape. As leaders, stakeholders, and citizens of our planet, we stand at a crucial and critical junction in human history. To succeed, we must innovate, collaborate, and decisively collaborate as a global community. As Africa's most populous nation and one of its largest economies, Nigeria recognizes its responsibility to demonstrate the required leadership on these matters. We have embraced a vision of sustainability that aligns with global aspiration while addressing the local realities. Our efforts are anchored on three pillars: energy transition, climate resilience, and sustainable development. My administration, we recognize this problem from the word get-go, from inception. We recognize the importance of reducing carbon emission and a just transition to clean and renewable.
And now the House of Representatives has called for the provision of scholarships and free medical services, including priority attention for the children and families of the nation's servicemen and women. Lawmakers say there is a need to honor the sacrifices of Nigeria's armed forces as they strive to protect the nation. News Central's correspondent Idong Joseph reports.
It is the first plenary session of the year 2025, following the Christmas and New Year festivities. The session, chaired by the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, began with announcements and the laying of petitions, then followed by a motion of urgent national importance, with a focus on honoring the sacrifices of the nation's servicemen and women.
The House is aware that the Armed Forces of Nigeria, comprising the Nigerian Army, Nigerian Navy, Nigerian Air Force, have demonstrated unparalleled dedication, bravery, and professionalism in combating various forms of insecurity across the country.
Lawmakers urged the federal government to maintain its support for the armed forces through increased funding and budgetary provisions.
As strategic as the armed forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is, for us, the related committee chairman, to have some to develop further capacity in subjecting the armed forces to account for taxpayers' money.
They also called for special recognition to deserving servicemen and women, priority consideration given to their families.
When I was in the service in US, if you receive a certificate, a well done certificate, congratulations or thank you from the, let's say from the National Assembly, and we are giving to them the best officer of the year in the Army, in the Navy, in the Air Force, the best junior officer of the year in the Navy, in the Air Force, in the Army. Sometimes they hold it up to the standard.
And I speak from the point of increasing the welfare of Nigerian armed forces to include aftercare and welfare of the people they've left behind.
We have debated enough on this, so I'll just put a question. Those in support of the motion moved by Honorable Babajimi Benson say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. I think we should do more for the armed forces.
In addition to honoring both living and deceased members of the armed forces, lawmakers emphasized the importance of recognizing the sacrifices made by members of the nation's military. In Abuja for News Central, I am Idonk Joseph.
Now, Nigeria marks the 2025 Armed Forces Remembrance Day with a solemn ceremony at Eagle Square, Abuja, on Wednesday, January 15, honoring the sacrifices of fallen heroes who defended the nation's sovereignty. Vice President Kashim Shettima, representing President Bola Tinubu, who is attending the Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week, led the event alongside cabinet members. The ceremony featured a wreath-laying, a gun salute, and other military rituals. Now, dignitaries present included Senate and House leadership, service chiefs, and the Inspector General of Police, as well as the Chief Justice of Nigeria. Senior officials, military officers, diplomats, and families of fallen soldiers also attended. In a statement, the Senate commended the military's sacrifices and lauded those currently safeguarding Nigeria's peace and security against internal and external threats.
As the Vice President proceeds to lay his wreath, may I trust you to know that the first known wreath-laying ceremony to honor unknown soldiers dates back to the Peloponnesian Wars in ancient Greece, where an empty stretcher was carried in tribute to the dead. The wreath-laying ceremony.
And let's also tell you that President Bola Tinubu has appointed Folashade Adekaiyaoja as the Deputy Director General of the Department of State Services, the DSS. Sources say Folashade's nomination and approval is unprecedented in the history of the DSS and is part of the reforms being implemented at the Secret Service. The DSS is structured to have 3 Deputy Director Generals, and her appointment is reportedly seen as a significant boost to efficiency in the organization at a time when the government is looking for better ways to tackle the country's security challenges. Now let's take you back to Lagos, Nigeria, where reactions have continued to trail the impeachment of the Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly, Mudashiru Obasa. In this special report, News Central's Sagir Ibrahim visits Agege, the stronghold of the former Speaker, to hear from residents about Obasa's indictment.
Who is serving his 4th term as a lawmaker, was removed from office on charges of abuse of power and gross misconduct. However, many speculate that his impeachment stems from a deepening rift with Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu.
That is what he sowed that he reaped. To me, he's not a good person. Imagine a speaker ridiculing a sitting governor. Look at what he did on the budget presentation. That day I know that he's going. You keep the governors waiting. You keep the leadership waiting. You keep the invitees waiting. And when you came in a black glass.
Yes, there is division in terms of the governance. There have to be the legislative and the executive. But then, there has to be mutual regard and respect.
I'm here standing in Oluwole Olaniyan Street. This, according to some, is sacred ground, as this is the ground zero of the mandate movement. As behind me right now is the constituency office of Right Honorable Mudashiru Obasa, who was impeached controversially on Monday the 12th. Now, attempt to speak with residents, within the community to get their reactions on what happened on Monday has proven abortive. However, we are hoping that they would speak to us subsequently.
Obasa is a man of the people. I don't have anything to say too much, because all this thing, Jesus Christ, see this kind of thing. I know see this kind of thing. There's no way this kind of thing will not happen.
Obasa has been doing many things to aggregate youth, widows, you understand? And when something like this happens, we need prayer for our Oga.
I was shattered, to say the least, because this is a man that I not only respect, that I follow.
It is more like a blessing and a curse for Agege. Having the speaker, because having the speaker has brought a lot of this development, infrastructural development. On the other hand, politically, like I do tell people, those who joined politics 5-6 years ago would think that is the normal way it is done. Somebody sitting somewhere and just saying this is the person that should be in position without considering how others will feel.
The impeachment marks a significant blow to Obasa's supporters and his political base. Meanwhile, opposition voices appear to be leveraging the situation, with signs of political realignment emerging at the constituency level.
The structure is already dismantled. You see people following before, not all of them that loves him. A lot of meetings has been going on. To fine-tune everything, a lot of meetings have been going on in order to bring Agege back to his normal shape.
It's going to cost a lot of realignment in Agege politics. I can categorically say that there has not been APC in Agege for some time. We have Obasa movement, and that has been the movement that has been representing APC.
What lessons can be drawn from the former speaker's fall from grace?
Power is transient, and whether being removed or you finish your tenure, it's just so that there's no position you hold that will not end.
In a related development, the new speaker, Mojisola Miranda, visited the governor's office in Marina earlier on Tuesday. She said her visit alongside other members was to brief the Governor's Advisory Council on the recent leadership changes within the Lagos State House of Assembly. In the Agege area of Lagos State, Sagir Ibrahim for News Central.
Now, First Bank of Nigeria Limited has refuted claims of abusing court processes in its legal dispute with General Hydrocarbons Limited. The bank said it had fulfilled its loan obligations but faced resistance when it demanded governance and transparency from GHL. The Federal High Court in Lagos has frozen assets worth $225.8 million linked to Unduka Obagbena, Ife Damilola Obagbena, Olabisi Eka Obagbena, and GHL. However, GHL said it has secured a separate court order safeguarding its operations. Meanwhile, the management of General Hydrocarbons Limited, GHL, has responded to what it described as misinformation or inaccurate information allegedly put out by First Bank on the matter with GHL. Now, according to General Hydrocarbons Limited, First Bank keeps talking about diversion of funds by GHL without providing any evidence. Now, GHL said if the First Bank of Nigeria was so sure of its facts, why not put GHL on notice? Why an expert? Now, General Hydrocarbons said, contrary to FBN's claims, it sought to appoint an independent asset manager to promote corporate governance. GHL also said that what FBN sought to do was to appoint a company that it can fire at any time to take over GHL's business, offices, and operations within 90 days of further disbursement. GHL said it refused and counter-offered a joint operation committee with FBN, and they refused, resulting in current impasse. It's time now to go on a short break, and when we come back, we've got more stories, the details of the residents of Papalada community who expressed shock over alleged ritual murder of Salome Adaidu. The details of this and more after the break. Many thanks for staying with us. Now to more stories. Airstrikes by Nigerian Air Force intended to target armed groups such as Boko Haram, ISWAP, Ansaru, Lukarawa and bandits have caused harm to civilians and their properties. Now, the frequency of these mishaps, along with the increasing civilian casualties, raise questions about the factors driving the incidents and whether they are genuinely accidental or incidental. The Nigerian military claims that the airstrikes and civilian populations were mere accidents or mistakes.
Over the years, Nigeria has recorded several accidental airstrikes by the military, killing residents across the country. A report titled Air Force Mishaps by SBM Intelligence, a research organization that compiles and analyzes data about happenings in the country, revealed that over 425 civilians were killed in accidental airstrikes by the Nigerian Air Force since September 2017. SBM said the airstrikes happened while the Nigerian Air Force was going after terrorists. The report lamented that mishaps had increased and that no compensation had been paid to victims' families. It added that Niger, Yobe, Zamfara, Borno, Nasarawa, Kaduna, and Katsina are the worst hit states in the country. On January 17, 2017, about 52 people were killed, while 120 others sustained injuries in an accidental airstrike on an internally displaced persons IDP camp in Ran, Borno State. On April 13, 2020, 17 people, including children, were killed after a Nigerian Air Force fighter jet bombed Sarakuru village in Damboa, Borno State. In April 2022, a Nigerian Air Force fighter jet reportedly killed 6 children when it fired a bomb targeted at terrorists in Shiroro local government area of Niger State. Also in June 2022, 13 residents were injured while 1 other died after a Nigerian Air Force fighter jet struck Kunkuma village in the Shafana local government area of Katsina State. In January 2023, 37 people were reportedly killed after a bomb exploded at the border linking Benue and Nasarawa states. In December 2023, more than 80 civilians were reportedly killed during a religious gathering in Kaduna State. Nigeria's military often conducts air raids against terrorists. These air raids have ended up killing some 400 civilians since 2017, according to Lagos-based SBM Intelligence. This development has, however, triggered both local and international outrage. Villagers and other residents of the affected communities have said they were not terrorists, but law-abiding Nigerians.
And now the Osun State chapter of the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, has been thrown into mourning following the death of its councillorship candidate for Ward 01, Oloba Atakpara, Eden North, Dauda Nurein. Nurein, who was set to contest the February 22nd local government election, passed away on Tuesday after a brief illness. His death has been confirmed by Akintunde Bello Sheriff, a senior special assistant to the Osun governor, in a Facebook post. Sheriff and PDP spokesperson Oladele Bamiji expressed deep sorrow over the loss, with Bamiji describing Nurein as well-loved and mourned by the community. The PDP family has extended condolences to his loved ones, praying for eternal peace for his soul. Now, Chief of Defense Staff General Christopher Musa has alleged that terrorist groups operating in Nigeria are receiving foreign funding to sustain their destabilization agenda. Musa said some surrendered terrorists, as well as those apprehended by troops, were found in possession of foreign currency. He emphasized the need for a more proactive and strategic approach to addressing security challenges across the country. Meanwhile, the High Command of the Nigerian military has honored outstanding officers who have made exceptional contributions to the successes achieved so far, particularly in the ongoing fight against terrorism, banditry, kidnapping, and other emerging security threats. Now let's head over to Papalada community in Nasarawa State, where relatives and friends of Salome Adaidu are still reeling in shock over the news of her beheading. 24-year-old Salome was decapitated, allegedly by Timile Ajayi, a man reported to be her boyfriend. Our condolences have been pouring in on social media across the country for Salome as her family demands justice and an update on the case from the police. News Central's Amadine Uyi has been covering the story and has the latest.
24-year-old Salome Adaidu, a 7-youth copper with the National Youth Service Corps in Abuja, was hoping to finish her 1-year mandatory service in March. However, on Sunday, January the 15th, a severed head of Salome was found with TikToker Timile Ajayi. Her sister says the news of her death is still hard to believe.
Someone called me on the road that my sister is in Uke. We're not like, okay, what is she doing there? Please, is there any information, sir? Please, can you give me any information about my sister? The man was like, no, he cannot give me any information about my sister. I have to come to the general hospital in Uke to come and meet my sister. I said, okay, I'm coming. When I got to Uke, I saw my sister dismembered on the floor. My sister, they told us to come and identify the body. We came, we saw my sister lying down on the floor, her hand, her legs, everything separated from her body. Then we now asked what happened. Then I said a guy, her boyfriend, picked her up. Her boyfriend killed her in his house and was taking her head, only the head, to Nasarawa State.
News Central tried to locate the residence of the suspected ritual murderer to hear firsthand what happened and to get to speak to those who had met him one-on-one before the incident. Some say the episode remains a shock.
We got to see that there are some parts of human being sack, back, 7 back. The bones different, the flesh different, the head different. They cut it like 2 places here, divided it everywhere. So that was what we saw on Sunday here in Papalada. And right now, many people are scared.
I never see a man with this guy. It's different girls every day. Sometimes when we sit down, I listen, they ask some bar people, say, make them find girl for them. I hear them with my ear when we day for bar. So you normally deal with girls. This is what I know. You normally deal with girls. I never see them with a man for my lifestyle.
In the whole Papalana, the morale of people is down. People are mourning. People are mourning in this community. Because it's just like even worse than a dream. It's what people could not believe.
The family of Salome, however, expressed displeasure at the way and manner the police have handled the case.
We are not satisfied with what the Nigerian police are doing just yet. I am not satisfied. I don't think anybody here is satisfied. They have not asked the family to write statements. They have not told the family anything about the guy, what he does, where he picked her from. I think these are basic questions that need to be asked.
All we just know is that we need to know information about my sister and we need justice.
While the Nasarawa State Police Command are yet to speak on the matter, the family of Salome are calling for justice for their daughter. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi.
Quite a sad one there. Anyway, 2 more stories. Students of Comprehensive Senior Secondary School in Diwo, Itumbuzo, Bende local government area of Abia State, are now without classrooms due to a fire outbreak. The fire engulfed the block housing the senior classes of the only community secondary in the area on Sunday. News Central's Chinwe Ugele tells us more.
The students were meant to return to school on Monday, being the resumption date for the state. But then today, not many of them are in school because they have nowhere to stay and receive lessons.
I feel very sad because there's no any other place that we can stay and learn.
This fire incident is the second within 1 week in Abia State. The Comprehensive Senior Secondary School is the only that serves about 3 communities, making it difficult for the students to have a nearby alternative. The inferno of last Sunday has destroyed the senior secondary, as a staff who witnessed the raging fire explains.
when I came here, the fire was on top of this roof. So it was at that point, and some people who were here, who arrived here earlier, they couldn't do anything because the classroom were locked. So it was when I came in and I asked them to break the classroom, and then that was how we managed to bring out some of these decks.
To make sure the students are kept in school, the principal says they have provided a space for them pending the renovation of the building.
We have another classroom over there, and it's not all that good because it has a leaking roof. That was why we removed them from that very place. So we are also going to shift them to that very place to manage for now.
The chairman of Bende local government area says the council will liaise with the community to find a better arrangement for the children.
We need to come as a community first and then see the quick action that we can take to make these students go into the class. Because government has procedure of returning. You write a proposal and then it may take a longer time, and we can't wait while our children are outside.
The community is equally appealing to the state government to come to its aid.
Right now, I don't think the community can handle that project by themselves, but I think with the help of the government, we'll be able to, leverage and then do something.
Today, schools are resumed, and the students, some of them are here. The senior classes, they don't have a place to stay.
The state government will need to come in here to fix the destroyed classroom blocks in order to allow the children return to their classrooms and take lessons. In Itumbuzo for News Central, I am Chinwe Ugele.
Now, the 23rd Chief S.L. Edu Memorial Lecture was held on Tuesday, bringing together key stakeholders to address the pressing need for sustainable development across Africa. Themed Greening Africa's Economies, the lecture underscored the critical role of environmental sustainability in shaping the continent's future growth and economic prosperity. News Central's Bettina Nweli reports.
Policymakers, business leaders, environmental experts and academics convened to explore innovative ways to embed green practices into Africa's rapidly expanding economies. The lecture, established in honor of the late Chief S.L. Edu, a prominent advocate for African leadership and sustainable development, was delivered by Professor Yemi Oshibajo, former Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
A recent study, and we were talking about this just before we came down, shows that sea level rise is expected to impact major African coastal cities, including Dar es Salaam, Lagos, Cotonou, Porto Novo, Cairo, and Alexandria. But the climate crisis is not Africa's only existential challenge. I think it's important to always emphasize this, that for Africa, it's not just the climate crisis, it is also extreme poverty. And of course, this includes unemployment, food insecurity, severe infrastructure deficits, and of particular importance, something that the experts will describe as energy poverty.
Key discussions centered on practical strategies to scale up renewable energy production, promote sustainable agriculture, and invest in eco-friendly industries. Experts highlighted the urgency of adopting green policies to mitigate climate change while fostering job creation in green sectors.
The progress that the world is making is far too slow to meet our net zero objectives. But perhaps more importantly, it has become even evident that if African countries were to develop along the same carbon-intensive pathways of developed economies, that is to say that if African countries were to burn fossil fuels for industry and transport in the same way that the wealthier countries of the world have developed, then it will be impossible for the world to attain net zero by 2050 or any kind of decent targets, because Africa will then be adding 9.4 gigatons of CO2e annually until 2050.
We are below the sea level. So people don't understand when some of us insist that you can't build on a channel path for water. I've had people threatening me from the whole of the mainland and discharge into the lagoon, from Oba, through Maryland, Ikeja, through Ariwo Jobe, down to the lagoon. And you chose to build on it and narrow that path. That is why Mende village was always getting flooded.
Experts also called for stronger collaboration among governments, the private sector, and the civil society to make Africa's economies more resilient to environmental challenges and unlock opportunities within the green economy. In Lagos, for News Central, I'm Bettina Nwili.
Coming up on the news, Daniel Chapo sworn in as Mozambique's president. We've got the details of this story and more after the break. Many thanks for staying with us. Now, we turn our attention to a pressing issue in South Africa where the rescue operations of illegal miners who have been trapped for months is underway. Now, during a recent visit to Stilfontein mine, the Minister of Police, Senzo Mchunu, said illegal mining is having severe repercussions in the economy. Mchunu highlighted that illegal mining not only threatens the safety and lives of those involved, but also drains millions from the economy. Now, with the industrial sector struggling to recover, he made a strong plea for the enforcement of strict measures to combat this growing crisis. Our News Central correspondent, Bangani Ziba, is on ground as we cross over to her for more details. Thank you so much, Bangani, for joining us.
Where these products go is the subject of our investigation. Via various components in police. We are as interested as everybody is, not only where it will go, but where it has been going, where it's going, and what are the volumes, and who are the people involved. Those investigations are underway because we're interested in getting to know, get to the bottom, in terms of the end. What is the high end or the low end of whatever gets mined here, minding that it is all illicit and it's robbing South Africa and the government of South Africa of, a lot of money. Minister Mantashe can speak better about what we are losing. All we know is that there is something that is illegal that is happening here. It's illegal mining by illegal miners, and we are, as a country, standing to lose in terms of what is happening.
Meanwhile, the situation at Stilfontein mine has escalated into a tense confrontation between the affected families and government officials. Now, as families mourn their lost loved ones and await answers, community members have expressed their outrage, holding the government accountable for the tragedy. In a surprising turn of events, ministers seeking to address the grieving community were met with hostility and were chased away when they tried to share their perspective on the incident. Meanwhile, the government has rejected claims of responsibility, insisting that they cannot be held accountable for the events that led to the miners' tragic deaths. Still in Southern Africa now, Daniel Chapo has been sworn in officially as Mozambique's president on Wednesday, following months of post-election violence that, according to an NGO, has claimed over 300 lives. Daniel Chapo vowed to dedicate his efforts to promoting national unity and defending the country's interests. His inauguration extends the Frelimo party's 50-year rule over the gas-rich nation. Now, opposition candidate Venancio Mondlane, who disputed the results of the October election, claims it was rigged. The election violence has raised concerns about the political stability of the country as Chapo begins his term amid ongoing tensions with opposition groups.
República de Moçambique, termo de posse. Eu, Daniel Francisco Chapo, juro por minha honra respeitar e fazer respeitar a Constituição, desempenhar com fidelidade o cargo de Presidente da República de Moçambique, dedicar todas as minhas energias à defesa, promoção e consolidação da unidade nacional, dos direitos humanos, da democracia e o bem-estar do povo moçambicano e fazer justiça a todos os cidadãos. Maputo, aos 15 de janeiro de 2025.
Malians mark the National Day of Regained Sovereignty, commemorating the country's resistance against international sanctions imposed on the 14th of January 2022. This annual celebration was instituted by the ruling junta after the coup d'etat in 2022. The Minister of Refoundation, Bakari Traore, emphasized the Malian people's unwavering commitment to asserting their independence and sovereignty despite facing a complex and sometimes hostile international context. The celebration honors Mali's achievements in restoring territorial integrity and independence, as well as the unity and determination of its people. This year's theme focuses on culture as a factor of national unity and patriotic spirit.
Le vendredi 14 janvier 2022, nous nous en souvenons bien. Nous célébrons ensemble l'engagement indéfectible des plus hautes autorités et de l'ensemble du peuple malien à affirmer l'indépendance et la souveraineté du Mali, ce malgré un contexte international complexe et parfois hostile.
Et nous voudrions, on devrait travailler doublement. On devrait peut-être se coucher à minuit. Parce que c'est la journée où nous devrions montrer que les Maliens sont des grands travailleurs, c'est qu'ils sont. Les Maliens sont des gens passionnés, des gens investis, qui ont l'amour de leur patrie. Aujourd'hui, c'était de magnifier cela, même si cela est fait tous les jours par les Maliens.
The body of Prince Johnson, a former Liberian warlord turned politician, has been moved from the Samuel Stryker Funeral Home in Monrovia to the grounds of the National Legislature. Johnson passed away on the 28th of November, leaving behind a complex legacy as a leader of the Independent National Patriotic Front of Liberia. He played a significant role in the country's two civil wars between 1989 and 2003, which resulted in the deaths of over 250,000 people. Johnson later transitioned into politics, becoming the senator of Nimba County. Now, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has said Hamas now responsible for sealing a ceasefire agreement. We have the story after the break. Thanks for staying with us. Now to stories outside the African continent. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has said that a final ceasefire proposal for Gaza is on the table, with Hamas now responsible for sealing the agreement. Now, speaking at the Atlantic Council think tank, Blinken revealed that the United States, in collaboration with Egypt and Qatar, presented the proposal on Sunday. He reiterated President Joe Biden's remarks, stating the deal to end the 15-month conflict was on the brink of acceptance and could be finalized in the coming hours or days. Blinken acknowledged the possibility that the agreement may be accepted after the inauguration of President-elect Donald Trump on Monday.
Over the past several weeks, our intensive efforts have brought us to the brink of full and final agreement. On Sunday, the United States, Qatar, and Egypt put forward a final proposal. The ball is now in Hamas's court. If Hamas accepts, the deal is ready to be concluded and implemented.
Now, Gazans have mourned loved ones killed in an Israeli strike on tents in Deir el-Balah, central Gaza. Among the victims was months-old Muhammad, who died alongside his mother and sister. His uncle, Ala Gouda, lamented the loss, saying he did nothing and posed no danger to Israel. The Gaza Health Ministry has reported 61 deaths in the past 24 hours, bringing the overall war death toll to 46,645. Additionally, at least 110,012 people have been injured during the conflict, which has spanned over 15 months. The war erupted following Hamas' attack on Israel on the 7th of October 2023 and continues to inflict devastating losses on both sides. The Gazans are now grappling with the mounting toll of the prolonged violence.
الخيمة اللي خيمة جيراننا طبعا لا لهم أي حد يعني ولا لهم أي تنظيمات ولا بأي حد. هو وجوزته حامل، الست حامل عنده 7 شهور 8 شهور، لقينا الجنين تاعها ناطط على خيمة الجيران، رحنا جبناه. وولدين يعني ولد عمره 14 سنة وولد عمره تقريبا 11 سنة ومعاه بنتين كمان يعني معدومات الحياة يعني للأسف. أطفالنا كلهم فزعوا ونسواننا كلهم فزعوا ومرض أخويا كمان كانت حامل وهي بالمستشفى يعني مش عارفين إيش فيها يعني.
Now to business. South African Tourism SAT has reported that it has utilized 72% of its budget for the 2024/2025 financial year, with CEO Nombulelo Kuliwe emphasizing this as a sign of their commitment to budget optimization. This follows media claims that SAT may have to return over 800 million rands of its 1.2 billion rand budget due to underutilization. Kuliwe asserted that the management team is focused on controlling costs and will not spend irresponsibly, despite allegations of a non-existent 80% surplus. Controversy arose over 100 million rand event management tender awarded to an inexperienced company, which SAT is currently investigating. President Cyril Ramaphosa highlighted the tourism sector's potential, noting that it contributed 8.2% to GDP in 2023 and employs 1.46 million people. SAT has secured 53 bids for international events expected to generate 616 million rands for the economy this year. Now, to sport, the Ghana Football Association has officially announced Kimlar Jokrin as the new head coach of the Black Queens, the national women's football team. The announcement made on Tuesday marks the end of Nora Nuttall's tenure after her contract expired in December 2024. Jokrin, a Swedish football coach with nearly 2 decades of experience, brings a wealth of expertise to the team. His coaching career includes stints with top clubs such as Apollon Ladies in Cyprus and Linkopings FC in Sweden, where he won league titles and earned Coach of the Year honors in Cyprus during the 2020/2021 season. Now, Novak Djokovic surpassed Roger Federer's all-time record for the most major singles matches played as he reached the Australian Open third round. The 37-year-old was made to work in his 430th Grand Slam singles match, but he emerged triumphant, beating qualifier Jaime Faria 6-1, 7-6, 7-4, 6-3, 6-2. The win gives Djokovic sole ownership of the all-time record for most Grand Slam singles matches played among men and women, and takes him past former rival Federer, who played his last major match at Wimbledon in 2002. The victory also meant the Serb became the first man over the age of 30 to reach 150 Grand Slam singles wins. And that's all on the news at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of our major stories. We told you that President Tinubu reiterates Nigeria's dedication to achieving net zero carbon emissions by 2060. We also mentioned that as Nigeria marks Armed Forces Remembrance Day, reps seek better incentives for servicemen and women. And finally, we told you that more bodies recovered in South Africa gold mine in as rescue operations for trapped illegal miners continue. You can watch News Central live on DSTV, channel 422, Star Times, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Blessings Wasuru.